Hello everyone, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Finn and welcome to my journey towards a life closer to boat building and sailing. So I've had a few weeks away from the camera to have a little holiday away, seeing some family and friends and to be a part of some of the Thames barge matches locally, which means that there's been a few weekends I've been away from the workshop and unable to work or film any progress on the boat. But I'm back now and been making good progress. So after getting all of the full roof beams dry fitted into the coach roof in the last video, the next jobs are to finish off cutting the half beams and bed down the two port and starboard aft cabside timbers, and then I can start marking out and making the timbers for the companionway hatch. And another little job I've got to get done inside the coach roof is to make some chunky corner posts that are going to be fixed on the inside of each corner of the cabin to just give a bit of extra strength to the whole structure. So first things first, let's get on and finish making these half beams. Okay, so I've just mixed up an epoxy mix. This first one is just going to be a neat mix that I'm just going to brush over all of the touching faces of the last of the capside timbers that I've got to glue up. So I'm just using neat and painting that on straight away, and that's what's going to be the initial wetting out coat, just to seep into the wood and allow for when I make the bedding mix to glue it all down. The wood's already had a thin coat of epoxy to soak it up to save it soaking up too much of the wet epoxy at the second mix. I'm just making sure I'm not touching any part of the pot where the epoxy is, just to prolong the life. Obviously epoxy is heat activated, so the earlier you touch it and the warmth from your hand, your body heat can start off the chemical reaction and start the process of this going off. So key is to just not touch it for as long as you can. I am using a slow hardener for this, so I have got a bit more time to work with it. Got no rush, don't need to use a fast hardener. So that first one's mixed up, so I've just got my little brush and just going to get all of the faces coated up with this wet mix. Okay, so that's all the wetting out done. So I'm now just going to mix up a thicker mix using some colloidal silica, and this is just an adhesive filler. So use it as a bedding compound. So I'm just going to mix up a couple of scoops of this to make a nice thick mix, and then I can start gluing the pieces together. Mix, doesn't want full, so that's thick enough. Right, so I've been working on getting all the corner posts shaped and cut, ready to start fitting them in place in the corner of the cab sides. So I'm using some mahogany for the corner posts, and now they're all cut with a 45-degree chamfer cut off on the inside face to just make it a bit more pleasing to the eye. So once they get fitted in all four corners, here in the aft section of the cabin top where the companionway hatch is going to be, I've then made up these half beams that are just notched out on the outside end, which is just to then fit around the edge of the corner post. They're all just going to get glued and screwed into place, and then to make up the companionway assembly, this end we're going to have another timber that is running fore and aft. If I just take the corner post out quickly. So this half beam is going to be fitted onto the cabin timber there. We're going to have another timber running fore and aft, which is going to make up part of the companionway hatch. This carling timber is going to be dovetailed into the roof beam on the forward end, and here on the aft end I'm going to do a lap joint that has got a half dovetail that will keep it locked in. Once the hatch timber is then fitted, that'll be screwed into the edge of all of this assembly, and that will then keep this timber locked in. So I'm just going to get the joints cut on the two port and starboard half beams, and then I can start marking out and cutting for the companionway hatch beams, and then once all that's done I can get it all pre-drilled and get the glue on and get it all screwed up and fitted in place. Alright, so I've pre-drilled all of the holes for fixing in the corner posts and these two aft half beams. Now the next job is to get them all glued in place. So I'm just going to give all the touching faces light sanding just to key up the surface to allow a nice and solid bond. So I'm just going to use a bit of 80 grit paper, get it all sanded, and then I can go over the epoxy and get them all glued and fixed in place. Okay, so now I've got the corner posts fitted and the two aft half beams. I've now dry fitted the companionway carling beams. So I'm now just going to remove all of the beams and take them down onto the bench and then route out the moulding for the underside, which I'm just going to be using a 45-degree chamfer cutter just to give the beams a bit of a nice detail on the inside. Okay, so while I wait for the oil to dry on all of the roof beams, I'm going to give the inside of all of the capside timbers a quick coat with the same 50-50 mix of white spirit and boiled linseed oil. So the inside's had good sanding so far, hasn't had its final sanding, but I'm just going to give it a coat for now as it is still really warm, just stop it all drying out too much. Okay, so there we have it. That's the coach roof assembly finished off. I've got all of the roof beams dry fitted in the boat, as well as all the half beams and the carlings and the companionway beams are all dry fitted in the boat with their mouldings routed on the underside, and they've all had the first coat of 50-50 white spirit and boiled linseed oil to really soak up some oil and to stop all the timbers drying out too quickly. So before I get all of the roof beams fitted and fixed in place, bedded into all of their pockets and get the roof boarded, I'm going to put this stage of the job on hold for the time being and get back on with the rebuild of the transom. As there's still some bulky parts to go down below, I feel it's a good stage to leave as it is, as if I need to, I can remove some of the beams if I've got to take anything down below that is too big to get through the companionway. So I'm going to put the coach roof on hold for a little while and get back on with the rebuild of the transom. The first job I've got to get on with is to bed the fashion timber, which is the bottom transom board, down onto the counterstern of the boat, where I've been correcting the unfair counterstern surface. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell beside it to get notified of my next release. So if you've enjoyed this video and would like to find out ways in which you could support the project, I'll include all of the links to the relevant sites in the description below this video. So I'd just like to say a massive thank you to all of you guys that have shown so much support throughout my journey and throughout the last year with this global pandemic. Your support and generosity really is overwhelming, and I don't think I'd be in the position I am now if it wasn't for all of you guys. So I really thank you all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.